Space Quest 5, fifth of the Space Quest series from Sierra, and released in 1993. I was getting ready to start college at Brown in that year, graduating high school. But this is one of very few games that Sierra released that was actually sponsored by another company. In this case, it was sponsored by Sprint. It was also the first of the games to not be programmed by both of the two guys from Andromeda, just one of them. I believe Mark Crow. I could have the name wrong. And this one is actually one of the few that has Roger in a slightly positive sense. After his adventures in Space Quest 4, he decides to enter StarCon and work his way up to something higher than a janitor. Now, Space Quest 5 has a heavy Star Trek influence in it, but it is still takes sci-fi elements from a few areas. Now, he joins StarCon because he figures by getting to be a captain, he can eventually meet the woman who is to be his future wife and the mother of his son, Roger Wilco Jr., whom saves his life in Roger, and he then saves his life. And, well, that's all the mess you get with time travel. And ironically enough, when he's on a task to clean the StarCon insignia, he just happens to meet, well, not only a person who becomes a pain in his butt in this game, in his life right now, Commander Rames T. Quirk, the obvious parody of James T. Kirk. He also meets his future wife and mother of his child, Beatrice Wankmeister. Why did they give her that last name? I think Al Lowell had a hand in that, maybe. Well, he must now take a test to prove his, if he has the ability to be captain. Now, this is actually in part an optional part where you can actually answer the questions as you see fit or chance cheating, as there is a droid in there that will call you out the second it catches you peeking. Now, believe it or not, I played through it and learned all the answers to the questions. I wouldn't even have to, but it's not really going to matter, as the game has events set out. Once your test is graded, a rodent has gotten into the machine and caused it to malfunction. Hence, you never really know if you ace the test or not. If you write down and memorize all the answers that the obvious brain boy next to you has, you are supposed to ace the test. However, you catch him talking with someone else, and You hear him say that he spotted you cheating, so he purposely marked the test wrong. But you gain your captainhood, and Quirk gives you the USS Eureka, a garbage scow. Well, of course, the crew has already low opinions of you. And this is when you're captaining the ship and having to hail people. Well, this is where you start to see Sprint's influence because, blatant ad in their game. Blatant plug. Now, in his first run as the captain of the Eureka, of course, he's got to pick up garbage at certain planets. And, well, you end up first picking up a critter that's highly reminiscent of the facehugger from Aliens. Ironically, one of the cadets there also looks reminiscent of the alien. But instead of sticking to your face and implanting an embryo into you, this one just may grab onto your face, but is definitely leaving a lot of acid. So obviously you've got to, quote, have him, dilute him down a little bit. Last thing you need is that thing ransacking the ship. Once you, after that, well, apparently the Gypazoid company hasn't forgotten that Arnoid hadn't taken care of your little debt problem, so they sent another one, WD-40, female version. So Roger has to do some quick thinking to, one, protect his crew, and two, well, let's face it, he's got to get this droid off his butt. And he in turn succeeds, and not only that, ship's mechanic, who for some reason is wearing overalls and looks nothing like he belongs in StarCon, named Cliffy, obvious play on Scotty from Star Trek. And so you have to then use that bit of information. He'll take on WD-40, fix her up, and make her a member of the crew. Afterwards, he takes on another mission. Roger continues on his mission, getting garbage. And they end up picking up on a signal from Quark. Or, not from Quark, but it was intended for Quark. Somebody communicating. So you know something's up. Then you go for an R&R, and there's another optional section in the game where you can actually play a version of Battleship against Quark. You don't have to win, but it helps with your points. Of course, during the game, there's a little scuffle. The thing is, Cliffy got in a scuffle, and so Quirk throws him in the brig. So Roger rescues Cliffy, and this is really where Roger earns the respect of his crew. You then end up finding out that there is a threat. The threat involves basically something called primordial soup. And Quirk is going to use it to infect Starcon. He even, you know, gets pucoided himself. So Roger must now do what he can to stop Quirk. Which, one, he has to rescue Beatrice. Because she escaped, because she found out about it. Two, figure out a cure. Which, well, they figure out cold will slow it down, but not stop it. Cliffy figures out, well, why don't I use the transporter to get her, original form back? Cliffy, that's a genius. And that's what they even do to the rest of the crew except for Quirk, because he's not going for that. Now, of course, after he cures Beatrice, they have to board and hamper Goliath, defeat the Pucoids, well, which means Roger's got to climb around the ducts and up the turbo lift shafts or elevator shafts to get up to the top floor and set things in motion so they can board the ship, then get access to the teleporters, then, cure the crew. Of course, Quirk has now mutated into a big glob of primordial soup. Roger, of course, must now, quote, escape. Well, he has to use the Goliath to, quote, capture the Pucoid Quirk, set his ship to set the Eureka to self-destruct, escape the Eureka, and, of course, save the day. Now, this made a very good game. And like any Sierra game near Easter eggs, you'll sometimes see Pac-Man running about in the maze of ductwork in the Goliath. You see a lot of in jokes and all that. The fight in the place where they have R&R is sort of reminiscent of the fight that happened in Star Trek: Trouble with Tribbles. You could also say the space monkeys were a nod to that as well, with the quote salesman going around selling. All the names are play on words too. I mean, the planet he ends up going to deal with WD-40, and that name's a pun too. It's called Kiss Your Ass Goodbye. But it was a fun little game. I enjoyed it myself with the puns that were obviously poking fun at Star Trek. I.e., don't go down to the captain's wearing a red shirt. Sir, did you have to beam down like that? What's wrong with it? Well, sir, you're red. It's red. You know what they say. Nodding to that the extras that were always first to die on an away mission are always in the red shirts. And if you do something wrong and lose, sometimes it pays nod to that Roger 4, or Space Quest 4, you couldn't have been successful in because you didn't succeed in finding Beatrice and winning her heart and having a child, hence you were never rescued in Space Quest 4, and, throws a little time paradox in there. So this was a decent, a good entry. I mean, after having a quote talky version in Space Quest 5 or in Space Quest 4, it's sort of a step backwards to have the game not narrated and not having voice actors. Of course, then again, this was still in the infancy of CD-ROMs and that. And they were working on certain big things like full motion videos games. But it was a decent entry for the franchise. I enjoyed it. This has also been the first time I had played it in years, so it has its fun moments. And that's all I'm going to say about Space Quest 5. A nice little entry for the franchise. I hope you've enjoyed this trip down memory lane, and until next time, please subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it, and give the video a like and check out my playthroughs of Space Quest 5. Take care all. Bye.